those who have asked, I have no idea where that vocabulary comes from. It just sort of worms its way in and never leaves. But yes, the question is, do Republicans genuinely believe the things that the Republican Party says? Do they genuinely believe the things their politicians are saying? The answer, it would appear, is no. I mean, the question is, are they dumb, or are they feigning ignorance when they are asked about some of the abhorrent things? Jordan Klepper talked about a little bit ago, and this was an article from HuffPost by Lee Moran. He talked about the most telling comment he heard when he was interviewing a Republican. I want to read it to you because I think it is really important to understand what's going on with these voters. Too often I hear people say, "Oh, Republicans are just being tricked." And in fact, I called them gullible, Republican voters. I called them gullible. I should be clear. I think they're gullible in that the harm they're causing others isn't actually helping them. And I think they've been convinced that it is helping them, that it somehow maintains what they have. What I don't think is that they're so gullible they don't believe they're harming others. I think they know they're harming others. And I think they know what Trump says is not what you're supposed to take away, but rather what he implies is. Here's why. Jordan Klepper has endured his fair share of wild moments with Donald Trump supporters during his MAGA field reports for The Daily Show. But one comment stands out. The correspondent recalled in previously unseen footage filmed last week during, this came out Monday today, filmed last week during his stint guest hosting the Comedy Central program. Klepper remembered talking to a woman during Trump's first impeachment for trying to extort Ukraine. Remember, that was his first impeachment. You know, the war that's currently happening, it's almost as though there were consequences for his behavior. The then president was blocking witnesses, including former National Security Advisor John Bolton, from testifying. Trump did that shit. The woman insisted to Klepper that Trump was innocent and said that if he had done anything wrong, he'd be trying to hide it. Klepper asked if blocking testimony would be an admission of guilt. The woman agreed it would. Klepper told her Trump was blocking testimony. And she takes this very long beat. She thinks about it and she says, "I don't care," he said. The woman was being completely honest in that moment, he added. He then said, when people's politics become tied up with their identity, it's almost impossible to change their minds. Klepper noted, they don't give a shit about the new piece of information, he said. Yeah. I don't think she gave a shit before. I don't think that if that woman had known, if she had been following the case because she actually cared about what happened, she would have known that Trump had blocked testimony. And if she would have done that, she would have simply answered the question differently when Klepper asked if blocking testimony would be an admission of guilt. She would have just answered the question differently. She would have said, "No, I don't think so." Because the truth does not matter to her. But what matters to her is that she hurt other Americans. That's most important to that woman. She knows the left hates Trump. She knows that Trump is a person who will do harm to minority communities. He made that clear in 2015. He made it clear across his presidency. That's why she supports Trump. It's just another way to wear a rebel flag on your hat. Any way you can express as an American that you despise minorities and that you make a sport out of harming other Americans. Any way you can do that but still pretend like that's not what you're doing, there is a section of America which will jump on, which will happily participate in, and that is what Trump is. They're not passionate about a New York billionaire. They're passionate about getting to say F you to minorities, getting to say F you to people that side with minorities and defend their rights. They're passionate about throwing a wrench in progress, because to them, progress is something that leaves them behind. That's what they care about. I think that tells us that as sane Americans, it's our duty to make it clear, as distasteful as this might seem to you, to make it clear that progress includes improving their lives. Means not going out of our way to come up with things we're going to do that are going to make their lives specifically better. No. But it means when we talk about why something is good, why we are doing something, we always take the time to address every major faction we can in America. Case in point, MAGA voters. Why Donald Trump getting indicted is good. It means that you are more likely to be able to indict Joe Biden. I don't think you're going to be able to in the end, but you will be more likely to be able to, because we have finally done away with that taboo. Now, you've been convinced that Joe Biden committed crimes. I don't think he did. But if you want those investigated, the odds just went way, 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 way up. Because it's no longer taboo to investigate, to indict, to have a trial for a former president. I'd like to go farther. I would like it to be possible to do this for a sitting president. Yeah. That will require a significant restructure for how we run things, but I think it's worth it. I don't think it is healthy to have someone immune from crime during any point in their lives. No operation should include lawlessness as a necessary element. If it does, you have done the math wrong. You have come up with a bad process, and you must start again. That is what we must do. But as far as the motivations of Trump supporters, I think a major thing we need to start considering is that they have not been honest with us about why they support what they support. And we should address them still. And we should make it clear that the principles behind the actions that we suggest in the sane America, those principles should be used, or rather should be something that benefits all. Cortez Crimson says, doesn't this kind of show how broken and ugly we are if we can not only tolerate but cheer on such? Yeah, and I think it's healthy. Not that we're doing it, but that we can see it now. Because look, I don't think America drastically changed in 2015. We call it mask off for a reason. This is functionally what's been happening since the 90s, since Newt Gingrich's big push. Republican Party hasn't been an honest actor. The impeachment of Bill Clinton was a show trial. It truly was. Republican politicians have been at least this corrupt for this long, and conservative politicians have always been this corrupt. They have always been playing this game from Reconstruction till now. Conservatives are what they appear to be now. They always have been. It's just that their mask has slipped and their rhetoric has begun to take charge. MAGA consists of the people who root for the heel at a professional wrestling show. The harm is the feature, and they wish they could do the same. That is it exactly. Mars Falcon says, I am exhausted. Most people are not even aware of what's happening. I am grateful at least some people can see, but many of our allies are corporate-owned and are still status quo over change. This is true, but think about I think, if you imagine what it's like to be flopping onto the beach and just collapsing into the sand, that's where we are right now, and it's real easy to forget that we just swam for days and days and days away from a sinking ship, and to appreciate that we're on dry ground right now. You'll notice I've been doing less what you can do regarding New York. Well, that's because, baby, we won. In fact, we keep getting victories. Victory after victory after victory for sane America. I'm not going to deny that we are up to our elbows in but that is because we are finally draining the septic tank. It's ugly work, and we're partway through it right now, but take a moment. Hell, do what your old pal Jake did. Take a weekend and just appreciate the victories, because we're racking them up. I also think that the Republican Party is on the verge of being done for, and take solace in the fact that we can go slow in doing this, and the finishing blow will be 2024 if we do this right, and we can take our time, measure twice, and cut these punks out of our lives forever. Once. Cortez Crimson says, is this a reflection of us as a species? Yes and no. This is a reflection, in my opinion, of us as a species under these conditions. The question is, who benefits from this? The rich. The ultra-rich. At the end of the day, all this racial hatred, all this hunting of minorities, all this fervent belief in nonsense, it doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from rich people funding these things. Ben Shabibo's show, Steven Crowder's show, both of them got their start. Why? Because they were funded by a billionaire. Fox News, it is largely in existence because grumpy rich people wanted right-wing news. This is a reflection of what humans will do as a species when part of us have an obscene amount of power gained unfairly and are trying to hold on to it. That's it. Part of us are trying to live unjust lives, and they are constantly committing offenses against humanity to keep it going. This is how greedy we are. We should certainly take note of this. If you find yourself coming into wealth, remember how disgusted you were with the behavior of the ultra-wealthy before. And don't do that. But in the age of information, which we now live, it is crystal clear that the majority of us have a sense of justice and have a sense of decency. And those of us who haven't spent our whole lives building our identity around the indoctrination that has kept these rich people, these ultra-rich people, in the position that they are, in other words, the kids. Well, in the age of information, they don't support this system. And the victory for the decent human beings, as I've said many times, is inevitable. And the struggle that we are in right now is not for whether or not the rich will get to keep their disproportionate power. That's going to go away. It just is. We are going to win that. The struggle we're in right now is for how soon, how quickly. And that's where y'all come in. you nailed it exactly correctly. It feels like a lot of people don't even follow this. You're right. More and more people will follow this as time goes on. But we can increase the speed at which that happens. And the great news is this stuff is really damn interesting because we've got all kinds of great independent reporting. So it's going to be easy and easier to do. Rustbox says, hey, Jake. Hey, Rustbox. Good to see you, brother. Well, tell you what. Let's look at one more thing while we're on the topic of Jordan Klepper. I'm going to wrap this one up, but I got something just for the live audience here. And it happens to deal with how we are going to finally shake Trump out of the public consciousness. I'm looking forward to it.